you talked about reflection. I wanna sort of pick on that for a bit and stay with it for a moment. Through the process of application, and as you know, it's a fairly reflective process. Through the process of application and not through some of these classes at business school, if you were to look back and say and reflect upon what have you learned about yourself in this process, as you graduate. So maybe in two parts, through the application process, something that you learned about yourself, maybe that you weren't aware of, and at school, if you learned something about yourself that you weren't aware of.
Yeah, good question. I like how we're going straight into the deep end. Yeah.
That's what we do, right?
That's what we do. We just go straight there into the deep end. I think that in the application process, like, especially before I worked with you, like, I think I had a lot of imposter syndrome about like, am I even capable for any of these top programs? And I was underselling myself a lot for like where I could get in. And I think that's something that I learned, is that, my experiences are valid and valuable, and especially how I communicate them matters so much. It's like 50% of the equation is how you communicate your experiences, because otherwise, if you don't have that piece, it almost doesn't matter that you did these really great things. So both are important. And I think I learned through the application process a lot of that storytelling, which I continued in Wharton as well, is like, how do you storytell about yourself? But definitely through the application process, I was like, once you put your whole life together on paper, you're like, oh, like, that's pretty cool what I did. And I can't wait to talk about that in an interview. And I can't wait to contribute that in like a community. So I think that was it for me, is just like really looking at all the pieces of my life, seeing how they come together, storytelling, and then being like, okay, this is valuable. And then in terms of what I like learned about myself at Wharton, like so many things, it's hard to even describe. I think one of the biggest changes for me was I realized that I have more time than I thought for some things. For instance, I remember going in and being like, I have to do a startup immediately. It's now or never. And it's like, that's just one example of this. And I realized that there's so many ways to get there, and there's skills that I want, or like other things that I want that will help to get there. And so it's okay, for instance, if I do a job for a few years, which is going to help with that experience and some of the other things I'm looking for, and then do a startup. It's like, I trust myself more now to say it's not now or never. It's a part of me and it will come back. And I think before I didn't really trust that. Before I was like, oh my God, if it doesn't happen now, when is it going to happen? But I know that I will come back to it. So I feel that I have more time, and like good things take time. So it's okay to build a strong foundation for some things rather than like being that flame that just burns out really quickly.